And here we are in the second lesson of our 3DHouse start to finish project. Inside of this lesson we're going to be talking about levels. We'll be letting basically elevation lines. We've got reference planes, which are vertical lines that run vertically through the building, and we use those to anchor our objects to. And we'll talk a little bit about working on some 2D profiles, which are going to help us to modify our wall styles out of the box with Revit. So just a couple things I want to mention here to clarify from the previous lesson. The file extensions in Revit, the .rvt file, this is a regular Revit model file which saves all of the objects, including all of the family members and everything else that comes with this particular drawing. So that's our regular model file. There'll also be append the file name .001002.rvt as backup files in Revit. Okay, RFA file is like a family file, and it's like a component library. It's kind of like a block library file that gets saved, and you can bring components in and transfer components from drawing to drawing via an RFA file, which you can create on the fly. We've got Revit template files, very important. Basically, we're striving to develop some template files which has all of our standard levels. In this case, this is out of the box. We're going to have a few more levels in here and so forth. So once we do establish a good environment with all of our blocks and objects and components and levels and common type information, we can save this as a template file, and then therefore starting a new drawing, we've already got 15-20% of the preparation, or in fact I should say 80 to 90% of the preparation is already done for us. So just a little review on some of those objects right there, and I'm just going to delete that. I'm going to use my zoom button here. Couple of quick commands. I'm doing ZE for zoom extents, okay, and I can also just do click up in here. So we do have some Revit short commands. If we go into the help and we have a look for short commands, and there's a txt external file which you can edit similar to a PGP file and go in and change all your, so have a look for shortcut commands, and we'll be doing a few of them as we go through this stuff here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start by just putting in some reference plane, basically outlining what I'll think the house is going to look like. So I'm in my basics here. I'm going to go down. I'm going to look for reference plane. There it is there, reference plane. So I'm just going to click on a line. It's going to draw a line in here. I believe they're green lines. And that's really all I wanted to do, and I'm going to draw another reference plane over to here. Now I'm going to just kind of copy these around. So I'm going to click on this, for instance. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to pick copy. I'm going to pick a point here, and I'm going to go down this direction by 35 feet. And then I'm going to click on this guy, and I'm going to copy him from here, and I'm going to copy that one over by 40 feet. And then I'm going to also copy one in. I'm going to go in and do a bit of trimming in here in a second, but I'll just move these down here, and that's going to go over by 8 feet, and we're just going to form our little front porch here. Copy that one over here by, let's say, 13 feet. And now I'm going to take this one and I'm going to copy him up here. I could be drawing new lines as well. And 22 feet. That's going to be the garage. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit closer here, and I'm going to grab the grips on these reference planes just to kind of tidy them up here a little bit. Bring those in. This one can come all the way into there, as well as this one. Notice how it's automatically kind of helping to line up whenever you go near anything. It's very intuitive that way, where it likes to try to line things up with each other. Okay, so that's kind of the outline of our house here. Oh, I'm going to take this guy, bring him back. So for the most part, our house is going to be up in this area, and this will be the garage out in the front. So I'm going to go now just to my elevations. I'm going to go to my south view, okay? Project North is up in here. I'm just going to do an inside here. I'm going to grab these guys. I'm just going to move them over a little bit to the middle of my space. And now I'm going to go to the south elevation, which would be looking in here, and I'm going to append some of these levels. Okay, level 1 is fine. with 0. I'm going to rename this because of the way levels organize themselves. We need to, all objects or levels based on level 1 are going to start with the number 1. And I'm going to call this one main. And 0 is fine. It's going to rename that over here. That's perfectly fine. Level 2 is a level 2, so I'm going to precede that with a 2, and I'll just call it second floor. Okay. It's going to rename that. I'm going to create another level in here. I'm going to go over to my level button. I'm going to add another level in here. It's going to be 8 feet above that level. Let's go 9 feet, higher ceiling up there. And then I'm going to tie that in. I'm going to go to that level. I'm going to call that 2. And I'm going to call that top of plate, for instance. And 19 feet up. I'm not worried about the end here. We're going to fix that. So now below the main floor, we're going to have some negative levels with a elevation of a negative number. So I'm going to go back into here. I'm going to add my next one in, and I want it to be basically, I know this one is going to be the top of my my slab in my garage. So I'm going to just click on here. I'm going to bring this over. I'm going to create another one as well down in here. I'm going to create 3 more. Okay, the lowest one I know is going to be my, it's going to be a 0 series, and it's going to be underside of footing, which is the main house. Okay, and that's fine, and I know that the number for that one is minus 10 feet. Now this one is the underside of my footing. All garage levels will precede with the word garage, and this is going to be garage underside of footing as well. And the zoom in a little closer here. Grab that. And instead of being minus 8 feet, that's minus 7 feet. Okay. And then the last one I'm going to do here is also garage and slab. And that's at minus 2 feet 4. I think I was going to make that. Okay. Okay, so that's my underside of footing for my garage. That's the top of my, basically top of my garage foundation wall. We've got a couple steps up to the main floor, and we've got this down in here. So that's all perfectly fine, and we can see there's our reference planes kind of waiting for us to get organized. So that's fine. I'm going to grab these. Notice how nice levels lock into each other as far as you know, fitting together. And I'm not sure what that, oh, that's another. So now what you see, I need to move that over. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to pull this over. It was just a grab the wrong grip on that. I just need to grab this. I need to get that grip and need to pull that over to there, just beyond, maybe even a little further. Get out of the way. So there. Now you can see. And we can also grab our reference planes and drag those up as well. So we might as well do that while we're here. So we're just kind of getting ready for the project here. So look, we're really starting to take some shape here. We've got our elevations and levels. We've got our reference planes. And now I'm going to go in, and just before we get started, I need to create a couple of two-dimensional profiles which are going to help us with our foundation wall strip footing, and then with also the way the walls connect at the floors here. We need to notch out part of the wall so that the siding and sheeting carries down. It's for one of the first things I noticed we had to do. So we need to go in and create some 2D profiles. So that's all perfectly fine, and what we need to do is we need to go in and we need to click on File, and we're going to say New, and we're going to say Family. It's going to create an RFA file. Okay, and within this, whenever you try to create a new family, it has template RFT files that it is suggesting you should use. And we're creating a profile, so I'm going to use the profile template to create this family member. Very basic 2D drafting. And so we'll go in here and we're just going to draw some lines. Okay, and this is going to be, I'm going to use the rectangle command. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to draw that out. And I'm going to make this 8 inches is fine. And this is, I want 20 inches. So I almost got that the first time. And now I'm going to draw another little rectangle over here. And I'm going to draw that. And I'm going to make that 2 inches by 4 inches. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to just delete the top portion of that. I'm going to take this guy. I'm going to say move. I'm going to grab him by the middle there and put him to the middle of my wall. Zoom in a little bit. Notice the snaps. There's the triangle is my midpoint. Moves it in. That's fine. We're not worried about that. Now I'm going to take this. I'm going to move it down basically from here to here. Get it into place. I'm going to take this object. I'm going to split it. Just kind of creating my footing here, and then I can go use my trim command, which will kind of do a clean up in there. And that's really all I need in my 2D profile. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to move it such that this point is at that point in the as far as insertion point. Okay, so from now I can go to File and I can say Save or Save As. So let's just go, I don't think it's going to matter at this point in time. And I'm going to save this, in this case, to my desktop. And I'm just going to call this footing 20 by 8. Make sense? Done. Now, while I'm in my family editor here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my other profiles as well at the same time. So just to make sure that got saved, I'm going to check up in here and hit a quick save on that. Now I'm going to do a Save As. It's going to take a second to save that again. And now I'm going to say File, Save As. And I'm going to call this Notch, N-O-T-C-H, main floor notch, which is fine. And what I'm going to do for this notch is I'm actually going to take this, I'm going to delete it. I'm going to draw some more lines. I'm going to draw a rectangle. I'm going to go from here to here. And I'm going to make it 5.5 inches, 5.5 inches, which is the stud wall width. And this I'm going to make 12. The main floor one I believe is 18 inches. Okay, and then now I have to take this and I just do a quick move and I move that from there to there. You'll soon see how this is going to affect. This is where our floor comes in, and this is basically so our wall comes down and takes a notch out, and then it wraps around our floor system, which will come in here. So that's fine. So we save that. Notch main. Okay. Now we're going to do a Save As while we're in here. File, Save As. And inside my Save As, I'm going to call it Notch Second. Okay, and the difference being is it's not going to be 18 inches deep. It's going to be only 12 inches deep. You'll see that. So then we save this. Okay, now that we've made these, I can close off the family editor. I'm back in my drawing. Those still aren't available in my drawing. I need to import them, and the way you do that is you go to Component. And then from in Component, we can go Create in Place, which is on the fly create, or we can say Load from Library, and this is where we can browse to anywhere on our computer or network. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say, okay, well, there's my notch. Notice it's created a backup file. There's my .001. Notch second floor. Control, I'm going to do notch main, and I'm going to grab my footing 20 by 8. Okay, notice it did create some backup files with the 001s in here. So notch main second, RFA, we're going to bring those in. When you bring them in, I believe it attempts to try to actually place one in the drawing at the time, and that is really at the point where you just you hit an escape, and what it does is it brings the profile into the drawing but doesn't really place one in the editor, and it makes it available for the other commands. Cannot be placed, that's fine. I didn't expect to. So they're a little warning signal for us. So now that we've done that, we could go down, for instance, into our project browser, go into families, and we'll see that in here, under profiles, we now have our notches and our footing available in here. Now we're not going to place this. We're going to use these as sweeps and reveals in the wall style. So they never really get placed, drag and dropped into the drawing. They get applied to a wall style. For instance, I can go back to my underside of footing in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into wall. And I'm going to go and I'm going to create a new wall style here, because I'm going to take what is the foundation concrete wall, the one that comes with Revit. And I'm going to go to properties, and inside of here I'm basically going to say edit new, and I'm going to say duplicate, and I'm going to call this FDN plus FTG. Okay, foundation plus footing. I should probably, put my 20 by 8 on there, and then put an 8-inch on the front of that, and hit OK. And so now I've created a unique wall with its own name. And now when I go into structure in here, I can go edit. I've got basically, I'm going to change this to be 8 inches. It's going to make my wall a bit narrower because it's an 8-inch wall. And what we've got here is core boundaries, which basically are 0 thickness, and they represent the limits of the main components, usually the structural or framing component of the wall, and that really affects how things kind of clean up and extend and work with each other. So paying attention to your core boundary. I'm going to place objects outside of my core boundary, and I'm just going to insert here and insert another one, and this outside one is going to be a finish, and the material is going to be F for finish, and we'll look for exterior siding or something like that. There we go. And what's the thickness of that? 0.5 of an inch. And this one is also going to be 0.5 of an inch, which is our sheathing. It's going to be, let's say, we can probably call it finish level 2. And inside of here, we're going to go to the wood section, and we're going to look for wood sheathing plywood. Okay, so we've got an inch outside of our core, and we've got our objects in here, and we can see that's forming in there quite nicely. Now I'm going to try to add on to this the bottom strip footing. Now notice that these buttons are only available. If I look at this wall in plan view, okay, these objects are not available, so the first thing you have to do is switch over to here, and then inside of there, zoom in a little bit. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add a wall sweep. Okay, a sweep adds mass, and a reveal cuts mass out. So we go to wall sweep. Inside of here now, we're going to go to profile. We're going to say add a profile, and because those profiles we made earlier were added, they should be here at the bottom of our drawing. Notch. Now, which wall is this? We're going to call this the main floor one, and we'll just apply that, and we'll see where that notch. There's that notch. We want that notch to move over. Oh, we're not. Sorry. My mistake. We're adding a footing in here. See how easy it is to fix that? So then we can grab the footing. We need to recenter that. So distance from the exterior, let's move that. I think it's, if we go -4 inches and apply that, it should swing that over to the middle of our wall. And hit OK. Now I've got my two walls mixed up here. I don't need that in there at all. I'm doing my foundation wall here. So there, that's better. Little learning lesson inside. We'll have to fix that with our other one. So we've got our footing in there, and that all looks pretty good. So we hit OK on that, and we hit OK on that, and we come out. So now we've got our our foundation footing wall. And now I'm going to do the same thing with our other walls. We're just going to go to, for instance, a generic 6-inch wall. I'm going to go into properties. We're doing our other floors now. I'm going to pick edit. I'm going to hit duplicate this generic, and I'm going to call this exterior main. Okay, and inside of that I'm going to go to my structure. I'm going to hit edit. I'm going to do what I did on my last one. I'm going to hit insert and insert. I'm going to go into function. I'm going to pick finish 1 for there. I'm going to pick finish 2 for there. I'm going to pick a material of finish exterior siding here. And then I'll pick a finish here of wood, plywood. Little repetition for you. And these are both 0.5 of an inch and 0.5 of an inch. Okay, now this is where we're going to go in and add our notches, the bottom of our wall, not our footing. And we're going to go in this time, we're going to add a reveal. Okay, add, same thing, looking for a profile. This is the main floor, notch main floor. We're going to hit apply. Going to see where that goes. We need to offset that from the outside, I believe, by 1 inch. It's going to move itself over. Hit apply. And we've got that. Now let's just, oh, I know what I did wrong, so we can hit OK. Let's see, we've got a 1/2 inch there, and we've got a 1/2 inch there. Oh, we need, this is only 5.5 inches. It's our stud wall. So there we go. So we can see there's our, is a notch in the bottom of our wall, which is going to allow our floor system to come in here quite nicely. So then we hit OK on that. And oh, just a sec, 2-layer function priorities cannot, we'll have to check on that just a second here. Okay, so I'm getting an error here in the functionality of the different layers. So what I've just tried playing with, and I can't spend a lot of time in here, so I'm just going to actually change that to be on a different functional layer. We can read up a little bit more on that. And I can hit OK, and it's going to come out. And I'm going to hit apply. You can see down in here we have our notched object. So then we can say, okay, that's good. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take that, we're going to duplicate that. We'll say duplicate, and we're going to call this exterior second floor, and hit OK. And we're going to go into the structure of that, and we're simply going to go into the reveals, and we're going to change the notch to be the second floor on this guy. Hit apply. It's going to get a little bit shorter. Shouldn't give us any problem with our layer functionality. And then hit OK. And then hit OK. And come on out. So when we draw those types of walls, now we'll see a little notch on the bottom. For instance, I can just finish up by trying that as an example. So I can go down in here. I'm not worried about what level I'm on or anything like that. Okay, we've got that, and we've got don't need to do any saving right now. And I'm going to go to my foundation wall. Which was, let's just have a look here, foundation plus footing, and then I'll draw one of those in over here. That's fine. It's telling me in my view I can't see that wall, but that's okay. We'll see it in a second. So now we go into the 3D view, and just as an example in here, you can see there's our wall sweep that we've added in, which is going to do all kinds of, save us all kinds of time. Okay, and the other thing we have in here is we have a wall reveal, which we've created with our profile, and that's, you see, now you can see our floor system's going to come in here, and this is going to wrap around quite nicely. So that's just kind of a first section through. We'll get a little more constructive in the next session. So that's it for reference planes and levels and profiles.